We need to wait and leave sort of.
The budget?
Whoever you are, sir. Okay. Hey, top two today. Call the meeting to order. Call the meeting to order, right? Correct.
You got a work session, so you don't necessarily have to follow the same rules you do with the meeting. It's a work session. But you can just open the meeting up and we fly with it. There's no agenda because it's strictly the budget and, yeah, you don't need to be formalized in a work session. Whenever you're ready to open up, we can start.
First time we've ever done this before, but we're gonna go with comp two, and this is the couple times I would like to officially call the meeting to order. Well, this day, Friday, May the 23rd, 2020. 1:05 p.m. This meeting has officially been called to order. One, prompt two. Thing to be discussed today is the 2025-26 fiscal budget. Annual our budget work session. Budget. I'd like to open the floor up for our town manager to that.
Good afternoon, President Commissioners. Before you is the proposed budget 25-26 along with current budget and the revenue report along with the expenditures. That way, as received with our work session. And as we go through it, we can address any questions or.
So before we council, we're in discussion of budget.
If you could, I'd like to get sort of a rundown of sort of where the highlights and changes made and what from the revenue side as well as from that, and that may answer a lot of questions. Quick overview of what's mainly changed.
Yeah, I'm reminded that the cost of bill rate will remain the same. For the
That is correct.
budget is almost reflective of what it was last year.
Yeah, the tax rate was 1.0287 per $100 assessed value. Present rate would yield, about 190,886 for additional revenue due to the property tax assessment. About an 8% increase from last year. As far as getting back with Commissioner Gardner, the recommendation was a 5% increase from formula pay to adjust for the COLA, which is the inflation plus potential, and certainly pressing issue for both federal and state governments.
That across the board, is there any difference in that in your police department, saying 5%?
Last year was 5% across the board for all towns.
Okay. Sometimes it's different, it might be a little more for the police or that, whatever it is, it's a difference in that, just make sure it's controlled.
We've done COLA increases for the past 2 years, correct? I think we did last year, previous year.
Yes, sir, we did do those standard. Yes, it was 5 days. It was.
What was it, the year before that?
We've, maybe, but I mean, there have been times when it has been like a COLA plus for a certain, I think we tried to do that with all. We try to get them up to school higher by doing more than just COLA, that kind of thing. I was just kind of clarifying that it was 5%. Included also. Staying on the revenue side, I'm looking at, between taxes, real estate, corporate taxes, Maryland income taxes, that highway user revenue, looks like the revenues just in those cases are about 500,000 increase. That's a steady state.
As far as an increase is concerned,
Went from that.
when you, if I may, if you want to just quickly think about the revenue, the big increases that you're going to have, at least in the revenue, obviously is going to be the real estate tax because of what the town manager already mentioned. Probably be an increase in the corporate tax and the income tax from the state. There'll be a little bit of an increase, I think, in the highway user fee, highway user fund. The biggest thing that you're going to have, of course, is going to be the new interest that we're going to get from the MLGIP. And then I think we had an increase of $10 on the annual disposal fee. So go from 140 to 150. It's always kind of, it's harder to really predict revenue than it is for expenses, because you can control expenses. You know, if you see you're going over, you can make adjustments. Revenue, you're kind of, you know, we make a recommendation based upon what we see coming in. But in most cases that I've seen, the revenue that we are anticipating generally is higher. We just don't know, like, especially for the income tax, that could be very, much higher. So it's always more difficult to forecast that. So what people, generally municipal people will budget it at the conservative lower end, knowing that anything above that is gravy, too news, right?
But when you're going through the, expense side, when you increase those budgets there, you gotta make sure there are some increases.
Yeah. Well, when you do, yeah, but the thing is that obviously, you look at the revenue, this is how much revenue we have, so you've got to match your expenses up to that.
Absolutely.
And you definitely have to come out with you gotta come out, I would say with a surplus, you cannot have a deficit budget.
Where is the interest from the Maryland budget? Where is that interest? Give us projected. No, I mean,
But it's at the fourth line up, interest income 35,000. On the back page,
okay.
or not on the, well, not the back.
Yeah, I see. Yep, that's the thing down there.
And honestly, that is a projected guess. Because again, it depends upon the interest rate. And the projection is the interest rate's not going to go down. It's probably going to be steady. But mostly it's how much money we can get up there. So the more that we get in, the more interest we'll have.
So,
And that I will say is a very conservative no.
so 35,000, nothing to sneeze at. Glad we're gonna get it.
Yeah.
I hope it's more. Maybe it's more. That's great. I look at something like that though as, since we don't know, we shouldn't bank on it too much the first time around. Let's see what it comes in at, and if it's good, then we can predict a little better with history. But also, that's still at 35,000. That's still the lower end of items that are increasing, like our real estate taxes and our highway.
Yes.
So, because we know pretty much, those top four, like I said, those top four are pretty much going to be. You're going to be close to knowing exactly what that is, or pretty much what that is. The rest of them obviously can fluctuate, but they're in much smaller amounts. So,
And the other one that we kind of we're judging is your permits. I mean, we're looking at, again, like I said, we're looking at on the conservative end.
that's good to
If
hear.
we have a building boom, remember what our fee is? I mean, somebody will call us, it could be 100,000, who knows?
Well, we have
And
debt
only
to
thing I'm
pay
saying-
off. We have debt to pay off, and we have
Yes, that's all.
contingency funds we need to build and all that stuff. So those are all great things that can add to that.
Connect this, see a lot of salaries going up for single positions like manager position is currently at 84,500, going up to 89,000. We're going to get to 25. I just wanted to be able to highlight these changes in salaries that public information that we try to prove as a council, but this is a legitimate question, we think because this has been on the table for several years now. So we think that position right now should be at that mark. That's a relatively great increase from 84,500 to actually about $5,000 increase in salary daily. We want to be competitive. Well, seeing the salaries go up tremendously over the years for the relative size of the population of the town.
Is that reflective of 5%? Should we go down our revenue, I mean, our expenditure side, starting from the top and just go through each section and if there's anything you want to discuss or ask questions?
Whatever you,
That sounds.
however you choose to do it.
I think this is where we'll going through these, we'll start to see where that increase in revenues can be increased throughout the budget to match up. I don't have any questions on the first one, legislative side part of it.
I do.
So,
I've been, so I have some questions. I haven't made it all the way through that budget, but where I am at, I do see like a lot of decreases and then I see a lot of increases. So I'm wondering if this is why we have all of these decreases. So even on the legislative side of it, it's been decreased or it's being suggested to be decreased by $750, even there.
And meals, the only line item that has decreased is meals. It went from
Meals,
2,000 meals,
Meals, travel.
travel's being put in a separate line item now. On this budget.
So it's
The
showing,
original one, it was meals, travel together at 2,000. The proposed budget has broken it down that it's meals and travel. The two separate items.
actually an increase there.
so it's an increase there, but it's overall, it's a $750.
What? Salaries are the same. Workers' comp same. FICA is same. Retirement, okay, now on the retirement, that's going down $7,500. I don't have a clear answer for you on that. I would probably have that answer. Health is the same. Meals, we broke that out, that meals is 1,250. The advertisement, we stayed the same. MML dues are the same. We created a new line item, travel, which is 6,000. And that's mainly for your conferences, MML, stuff like that. Under the, let's see, dues, workshops, that's 0. I think what's happened here is,
Right.
looks to me like, yeah, we have MML dues at 5,000, travel 6,000, okay. The other expenses, 5,000, that would be miscellaneous expenses accrued to the commissioners. We have in the new budget, code review, 1,500. Sure what that is, honestly, but I'm just being truthful, but it's, we'll have to double check that. Planning and zoning stipend, of course, is 3,000, that's for the members to attend. Funds we've left at 5,280. We did, the election costs will stay the same at 4,000. That's the legislative part. Let me switch over here now. On the town manager section, we have, budget we're in now is 84,500. There's an increase to 89,225. That's the 5%. Obviously the FICA also, it will be increased from 6,465 to 6,826. Retirement the same, that would go up because of the salary. Town manager is not covered by health insurance in this town. Workers' comp stays the same at 1,000. Circuit rider is 25,000. That is based on what we presently have. We'll be doing the applications, have to be in by June 4th. There is a possibility that that could be cut, not wiped out, but the amount that the town receives may be less due to the situation up at the state level. But we're gonna put in for the same amount. Meals travel stays at 1,000, dues and workshop, we cut that down. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we raised that up from 3,000 to 5,000. Cell phones staying the same. Fuel staying the same. And vehicle repairs is staying the same. Not too much, the biggest difference there, of course, is the salary.
One of my calculations of that legislative section at the top there would be 93,176, not 92,870, which is not far off, but so I may have not sure about it.
Commissioner, what was that, 91?
93,176.
Okay,
That the town manager section, that whole section there, like it's about a $10,000 increase last year.
Like 97.54, but so looking at these lines with the legislature, I'm getting $750. For the town manager, it's an increase of $9,754.
What I did, and
Went back and out. So I'm just going off of their.
yeah.
okay. You want us to continue on, right? Okay. Under the admin section, the assistant salary is, obviously is 5%. The front desk has been eliminated, or there is no front desk in this budget at the present time. FICA, of course, will correspond to the salary. There is a cost of, workers' comp for the admin assistant is in there. Overtime is in there at 3,000 and workshops is in there at 1,000. From the budget that we are in, that is probably the biggest, well, definitely one of the biggest sections that has been cut by over 50%, going from 89,607 to 49,055. Questions on that side?
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do we still have someone in the front office?
Well, Jay, you want
Yeah, well, Christian,
Where does she fall at?
it would be under the,
to administer finance?
What?
Finance.
Okay.
At this point, the town staff feels that they, we can operate, have the phones manned, everything being taken care of, with eliminating that one position.
So you're eliminating.
Now, the front desk.
which 11.
Now, this is all coming from the administration, from the town manager. Now, bear in mind that obviously the charter, at this point, this budget is now going to become the commissioner's budget. You could add, you could put it back in, you could subtract on what we're recommending. That's all part of this work session, the public hearing and everything. But bear in mind that if you do that, your obligation, your responsibility is to find the money. And I think let's go through the whole budget before we even think about those things. Okay, on the financial, the admin side, the financial administrator salary is 45,500. I will say that is an increase above the 5% because the town manager and your circuit rider strongly feel that that is a valid salary for what your employee there is doing. After an evaluation, and just watching. I have worked with her for nearly a year, over a year. And honestly, that is the salary that it should be. Now, you can do what you need to do afterwards, but that's what we feel. The financial administrative assistant, that is Kristen, she, and 26,000. Was 20 some thousand before. So there was a 5% increase there. Yeah.
22 cents.
Okay. The PT activities monitors are 5,000. Of course, the FICA changes, 4,000. Financial administrative assistant, 1,989. Retirement, that goes up because of the salary and I think we have a retirement in there for the financial administrative assistant. Workers' comp, of course, would go up just a little bit. Overtime budget at 1,500. We have the finance softwares in there at 10,000. Bank fees at 200. The addition here is the ClearGov. Remember, we had that demonstration, and the commissioner seemed to be in favor of doing that. The price came in 11,000. That's entirely up to the commissioners as to whether or not you want to keep it in there. You might want to put that to the side, say you got $11,000 in there. That's an add-on into the finance department.
Before we move past that, can you give us a brief thought or Jay, somebody give us a brief thought on whether that would be worth it? And the reason I ask that is like, we had a presentation and people can give rosy presentations and it sounds great, but I want to hear from the folks that are going to be working with it if it's going to, in the long run, save us money and time.
Right. Just a quick recap with ClearGov is obviously a budgeting strategic planning reporting software that is used by a number of municipalities. Here's some examples again. If there are any changes to the budget item, the program automatically calculate, which is a big time saver there, instead of NI having to add and adjust line by line and check and recheck. And that also, I don't know what the word, any mathematical errors that prevents any of that. That's one. Again, saving time. The program is efficient, time saver. The biggest thing too was the portal, where it's transparency, right? Accountability, where anybody can see exactly where we are at any time. You'll have a login for the commissioners and whoever see, all right, this is where we are in the budget. So the other big thing again is the transparency part of the program. So we feel as a staff, we've had a number of conversations. This will again save time. Yes, it's an added expense, but it'll save time in the long run, which again saves money, prevents any mathematical error. And again, I will reiterate the accountability.
That basically is the add-on, the only thing that's really been added on to the finance department.
Is it worth $11,000?
Hmm?
Is it worth $11,000 a year? And it's gonna go up.
Asking me,
I need.
I'd rather defer to the.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking the question whether or not it's gonna be.
I do not have that system. I don't need that system,
Are there ways that our department can make sure those same things are pretty much in place without us getting into a $11,000 subscription? I don't know how to go about that.
it's not, okay, the best way for me to explain it is that it is nice to have, but not necessary. It's not crucial. To me, the most important thing in this budget is salary. Is treating the employees the right way and giving you what you need and all the others.
Thank you.
All right, on the other budget, let's go. Professional fees now. This is, incidentally, the finance department actually went down by about $8,000, even with the 11,000 in there.
I didn't get that. I went up by 20.
Mhm.
I see it's, I wouldn't do these figures if the finance department went up by 20, landmother would be the clue though.
If I got the right one, which I hope I do, I have 112,439. And the budget that we're in right now has 120,756.
You're under what line?
Total finance department. Hoping that you're all looking at the right one.
Well, I
hope I'm
see
looking
the
at the right.
one that says that now, but somebody forgot the. Okay, all right, well, I know at some point I was looking, maybe I had. I did. Hey, no, but I think my apologies, I've got it. I figured out what I did, you are certainly correct.
Okay, the professional fees is a big item in your budget, and that, of course, is your, computer IT. The order, of course, is, something you gotta have, you gotta do it, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. We're coming in at 35,000. The accounting is, 40,000, that's your, that's the folks that are helping Nye out with the accounting, and I gotta tell you that I think it's important to have it for this year. But we're gonna work on a program so that that's eliminated the next year. I strongly, and I talked to Jay, I talked to Nye. I feel very strongly that she's capable of doing this. The town's capable of being able to operate its own finances without going outside to have somebody do your books. That's basically what's happened. And because that firm is doing the books, they also can't be the auditors. So you gotta go out and get another firm to audit. So I think that in the future, like the goal for us next year to eliminate that cost. Now, the legal fees, well, that is this year, I think we're like, what are we approaching 90,000? It's outrageous. But it's outrageous because one of the things that happened, obviously, we had an issue with the cannabis. We have issues with planning is that there are issues that are popping up that the town has been going to get legal advice. I have recommended to the town manager, and I'll recommend to you, a lot of that I can do. I can do legal research. I can do ordinances. I can do resolutions. I can do a lot of that stuff. So we're hoping to be able to eliminate a good portion of that. But I am not a lawyer. I'm very close, but I'm not a lawyer. So we do need to keep, and no disrespect to Chris of the firm. I've been working with them for 7 years, but I think we can cut that down but not eliminate it. So we put in 60,000. I am hoping that we won't have to spend 60,000 this year. We will do everything we can to make sure. I mean, I know how to make phone calls. I know how to reach out. I know how to read it all. So hopefully that's what we are going to be doing. But unfortunately, we put 60,000 in because just don't know. There's sometimes you've got frivolous lawsuits or something will come in. The manager may say, oh, I'm not sure about that. So I told Jay that one of the things that he can do, instead of making a call to the attorney, call me, or let's talk about it before we rush off to that. I'm not guaranteeing that we're gonna be able to address every legal issue, but I can tell you, we are going to come pretty darn
Get
close.
it, you can get it ready and prepared for him to do the final. Has to be
Exactly,
done
that's
by
right, do all the research, we can do the legwork, you know?
That's great if we can, if we've got the time and power to do it, and you're not gonna charge us as much as he does. I wanna get that, I had to bring it up, I need to get.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the other thing we're trying to do too is to help save cost and money is anything pops up, in whatever department, say planning is going on, don't feel like you have to rush to Chris. That was done.
Yeah, that's the whole,
So we're trying to eliminate having one contact
I
person
have-
reaching out and eliminating that cost.
I am not gonna mention the town. One of my parents, but they will not order toilet paper unless they ask the town attorney. But that's kind of how they do it. Things that town staff or that I could be doing, they have the attorney do it. And I think we've done, in-house, we've done all our ads and stuff.
So a great line item to have a report on, have three every quarter, see how we're looking, where we're at on that.
Now the other one, of course, is the grant writing. You got a fantastic grant writer who's on board. And I think in the last month or two, she's already written and got us 3 grants. But what I want to tell you about that is that grant writing is one thing. Get in there and put another. Monitoring, reporting, that is quite another. So our grant writer and I and the town manager, we have a little meeting and we've come up with a plan where she can go out, do the grant writing and all, and we will, I specifically can assist her with all that because there's no way that she can manage the grants, because you're gonna have to be available quite a bit, more than she can do, and she's got a lot of clients. She's very good. Okay. Let's see.
I need us to go back to, finance. With the part-time activity monitor. Can someone explain that? No, I know what it is, but it's, we went from, 35,000 to 5,000.
This year, we haven't even come close to the 5,000, I think. I think it's like. Let's see, we based it on the actual expenses. So let me check. As of today, it's 3,600. It's really based upon how much that we spent. And it's like, according to our records right now, we allocated 35,000, we spent 3,500. So we're to the good in that line item, like 31.5. We felt 5,000 would be sufficient.
Are we utilizing, 3 monitors or what is that? Yeah, 3 monitors.
And they submit the time cards. This is everyone else. Their time sheets every 2 weeks.
So that's the reason for the much lower number. Okay, let's see. Let me go from here. The next item is office expenses. And on the office expenses, we reduced the office phones from 5,500 to 5,000. We feel that'll work. Utilities also went down from 15,000 to 10,000. Maintenance in general, that went up. Oh, I'm sorry, that went down too, from 7,000 to 5,000. Office supplies, we kept that at the same at 6,000. Janitorial, That went up about $200, nothing major. Copy supplies, 1,500. Maintenance contracts, that went down, I'm sorry, that increased from 5,000 to 6,000. The workshops, 3,000. Website stayed the same, 1,800, and repairs stayed the same. So the office expenses have gone down from 54,000 in the present budget to 45,200 in this proposed budget.
I see the maintenance and general services line is 9,200 last year. Uh,
May have been some expenses or something that was out of the ordinary. I don't know whether you call it additional stuff or
Maybe save money on internet services, right? And we close our provider. Last year, the internal services, 9,200.
That's where part of the
Last year, that including internet, but I guess say 90 to 5,000 we saved. We had 5 million, right?
that's correct. Now, moving on, under the, community engagement, I think we got a couple of representatives from those organizations here at the work session. The Main Street match, in our budget, we went from 15,000 to 5,000. The chamber donation went from 1,500 to 1,000. There is no community engagement because nothing was in the line item spent on that. Garland Haywood donation went from 15,000 to 5,000. We eliminated the other food clothing because there was no expenses, I think, in that category. Under the fire company, we went from 25,000 to 15,000. And in EDC, we went from 5,000 to 2,500. There is obviously a major reduction there from 65,500 to 28,000.
I would definitely be against the increase for the fire department. They do. Actually, they need more funding. Last thing the town do is decrease our obligation. Down. Aspect of the community. They could be. They could get. The previous year, a couple years ago, they would allocate 50,000 to the department. It'd be great for the town to need for that here. Please.
But I would like to address, I hear you, I understand, and I'm sympathetic to that too. But let me tell you, one of the reasons that these cuts to certain areas have been made is because the town manager's budget is not going to give you deficit spending. It is not going to happen. Now, and if you look at the bottom line, all that we talked about, our surplus is 23,000.
Right.
Now, what that means is you certainly can use the 23,000 and up your figures without hurting anything. Nothing says you got to carry a surplus. It says you can't have a deficit. So that is one of the reasons why all this was happening. Can all this be changed? Definitely, it all can happen. It all can be changed when the final budget is approved. The biggest issue on the budget was revenue. We did not plug in any surplus from this year. there will be a surplus. But we don't know what that surplus is going to be. So we did not even include any money from this year that we know we're gonna have. It could be 100,000, 200,000, could be 50,000. We're gonna talk about that toward the end. But bear in mind that, is there gonna be money available? Yes, there probably will be. In fact, I'm almost willing to say yes, there definitely will be.
We can always allocate fire department throughout the year.
Yeah, well, not only that, but you can probably and well, remember when you got 23,000 that we still were holding, okay, you can say, hey, if the commissioners want to put 10,000 more back in there, can you do it? Sure. It just reduces the deficit to 13.
What is,
I mean,
what is
the
our,
surplus.
what is our surplus fund right now? What do we have as an amount above, not including what we're gonna get this year or what's in this budget? What's in the bank of surplus? For bad times. Got anything?
23K is what it's saying.
Well, that's what we did.
The first thing, yeah. I'm not sure that, do we have I'll tell you, okay, let me bring it out now. Okay, because I have it on my agenda of my list to talk to you about. What are we going to do about business assistance grant? $350,000 sitting there. What are we going to do about that? Are we going to adopt that this year, to spend this year? And if we do, is there going to be that much money going out? I venture to say no. Even if you do, and you gotta do it June 2nd, if you're going to pass that resolution, gotta do it June 2nd for this year. So that the applications come in and we can get the checks out by the end of the fiscal year. Or you can roll it over to next year, it's your choice to make. But we didn't count that we counted that 350,000 being gone.
No, that's not my question at all. I'm like, we're gonna.
But that is part of the surplus.
Well,
That could be part of the surplus.
So we're going to get to that. But we're talking about these items.
I mean,
You know, that's.
So we should have, and what I've always heard and what I'm doing in my private household and whatnot is you have some sort of a contingency fund, I don't know what you want to call it, select fund, surplus, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Of an amount of money that is on hand for the unexpected.
Mhm.
And it's typical rule of 3 months worth of
Yeah.
expenses,
Mhm.
right? So that's the question I'm asking. Right now, do we have anything that would be considered that contingency?
Absolutely, we have funding that's going to the ground.
That's next year. Yeah, that'll be, you can't count on You can't
So much
count
money
on
that's
this year.
there.
And I really can't answer that question myself. I'm not
I
sure.
mean, I don't think there's a lot, right? There's probably not 3 months.
No, I wouldn't think you have savings right now.
And the reason I'm asking that is because if we start taking away what little bit we're gonna put in there
Mhm. Mhm.
and don't put anything there, we're still at rock bottom, or no, don't have a lot. So we need to be careful of not having something. It doesn't need to be outrageous. We don't have to have,
Right.
just unlimited funds in there, but we gotta have something for
Mhm.
trash truck. Whatever,
Mhm.
major, street repair, road, whatever, so anything major that happens, you gotta have something like.
Commissioner, you're right. You always should have, you certainly should have a contingency reserve fund that you can go to and you carry. Over.
And you're giving us a budget that gives us something to go towards that, right?
Yes.
Without
Yes.
adding those.
Yes.
I think part of it too, if we really won't know 100%, right? Until we do the final.
That's true. When you have all,
Once we have everything done and
bear in mind.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that probably in July, maybe August, you will be adopting 2 budgets. You'll be amending 2 budgets. You'll be amending the one that we're in now because of the surplus. And then because of the surplus, and whatever changes you decide to make, you'll have to amend the one that this budget that we're proposing You'll be amending that, so you'll be amending two.
And that's the time we will have more answers as to
Right,
what it
that's
is, and
exactly-
we can amend it
Yes.
accordingly to
Yes.
increase line
Right.
items that we-
And you'll know exactly what will, that's. Unfortunately, we just can't tell you what the surplus is gonna be now, or even at June 30th, until all the bills are paid, and that'll take a month. Let's see, where are we?
I think we're still in community engagement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that we didn't do anything, so we took away the clothing donation and we took away community engagement completely.
And I don't think there was anything spent on those this year. Yeah, both line items are showing zero. Zero spent as of right now.
So what things would have fell under that line item?
Commissioner, I don't really know.
Because if
What
I'm not
you all had
mistaken-
planned for those line items?
So if I'm not mistaken, like the Halloween and the Juneteenth
I
and all
believe-
of those things fell underneath that line item.
No, I think we have that covered. That should be covered under the parks. There is another line item here.
It seems to have been there. Yeah. Community engagement. That kind of-
Mhm.
Food drive, food.
That's what we've done in the past, like the food drive, the clothes.
Maybe we have it in
uniforms.
Hang on just. I know you put one in here.
I don't see anything dark. Or that's, for town activity.
Yeah, I thought we had something in there for town activities in the budget.
Do something, 3,000.
So that might be something we need to revisit, and put back in. I really thought we did have one in here. Oh, and I thought we had put it under town parks.
For the last few years, we tried to use, like, have a little bit of money set aside for, back to school backpack.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
They had things that came up like that we saw a need in the community, right?
Well, that we can,
You gotta be small, I mean, it's only 2,000.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
we can certainly. I didn't find it on there. I thought we.
But
had-
that would be separate than, say, an event that's going on,
Yeah.
and a host and do all that, that should be in each place.
I mean, we can go back in and insert, I think we had $2,000 in that line item. That can be put back in.
It's been reduced, it's in there, it's under town activity. for this
Yes.
year.
Oh,
That's what it is.
It went from 4,000 to 3,000.
As long as those kind of things work in that line item, but if it's cleaner to have it from the community engagement, things like that, that aren't necessarily just a one-off kind of thing, not annually that.
Right.
So last year, so this was if I'm looking at it right, it's 7009.05. And that's a $3,000 reduction.
yeah, yep. So, yep, 05 town activities, it looks to me, looks like on the expenditure side, that was budgeted 6,000. We spent 1,432 this year, but it was under miscellaneous. So
Or maybe you got,
that's what I'm looking in here to see where that line item is.
yeah, it needs to come out, please. Being engaged.
Fortunately, I'm still not seeing it oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there it is.
It's top.
Town activities, yep, 3,000. That's the accommodate which you told it up, Commissioner. I see it now, then under town activities
Right.
toward the end. So it is in there,
Yeah, that's.
and it looks like
But
the,
that's
the
different.
item, the clothing item and the,
Yeah. So that's
the,
different from.
yeah, it's combined in the town activity.
Totally different.
So you're combining the community engagements into the town activities?
Yeah, the community engagement, and, yeah,
Which is, well, which is what
yeah, the line item that was
called.
was town activities of 3,000, which would probably handle the, yeah. In the budget we have right now, community engagement and other food clothing would have been 4,000. And we're proposing under town activities, combining them at 3,000.
What were town activities last year, so you're reducing something.
Right. So town activities last year was $6,000. So we're combining them
Reducing it.
and reducing it.
But what we're having, according to our expenses, that number is. We'll just- Bear with me. Because I just read it off. Oh, here it goes. Okay, town activities, we had 6,000. Yeah, and we spent 1,432 as of right now.
Okay.
Together in the miscellaneous.
Well, I would like to see, it stay the same. Because of the other cuts that's going on, and just thinking about the donations and the book bags and the
Mhm.
community engagement and the cuts that's going on in our county. For our students, so I believe we need to leave that alone.
So community engagement say 2,000.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, well. The objection, other people are gonna mark this up. I mean, it,
Like to see a little something there, like you said.
yeah, okay, well, we had 2,000.
And I think what happened was, is 2 years ago, we had a pretty good little program of getting that stuff together, and we didn't do as much of it this
Yeah.
year. But we should.
And so what I'm doing is I'm doing a little cheat sheet here, so. I'm looking at fire company increase of 10,000,
It is.
Like a
2,000 going back for the community engagement, so now we're at 12,000. Eating into the 23,000 surplus.
So 2,000 on top of the.
Oh, sir, okay, right now, we are, no,
No, I'm not asking that question. I'm saying, we were asked to have 2,000 added.
yes. And when you, okay, remember what I said at the beginning. If commissioners decide that they want to increase a line item that we have not put any money in, we gotta find the money. So the only place we're finding the money is in that 23,000 surplus.
At the moment.
At the moment, that's right, at the moment. So 10,000 can come out, allocate to the fire company additional, and 2,000 for community promotion. That gives us about 11,000 that we still have to play with.
Wait a minute.
So what's the explanation for, decrease in the others?
What's the? We're only increasing by 2,000. Where are you coming up with 7,000?
Well, I was putting in 10,000 for the fire company.
Oh.
Trying to keep
I'm
track,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm trying to keep track of, so
So the
that
fire
we go back to
department-
9 and redo the budget for you, if need be.
So
I'm
the
trying to
fire
keep track
department-
because, again, I can tell you, we cannot have a budget that's deficit.
I was more understanding that the.
Not saying that that's going to
that
happen.
The fire department could be something to amend later on, if we know what kind of money we got. I wouldn't. I
Well,
thought maybe
that-
was
is
a
that what you
conversation
want? I mean, if the
That would be
commissioners,
my suggestion, at this point, any kind of $10,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's-
Need to hold off and maybe
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
But we had other increases in other areas that we can't, I guess, openly discuss, because I have a lot of questions about, the raises, but I guess that's something that I really can't get into because it's specific people.
Overall, I would say 5%. We've done increases for a number of years.
We done huge increases last year
Right?
as far as salary.
Overall, that 5% increase would save the town a tremendous amount of money. Talk about this, we definitely have that. We voted against that 5%.
I think,
Pretty easy.
I think you both are on track.
I would say this though, out of all the,
Yeah, let's go through the whole budget, then you'll probably have to have another work session specifically for employee.
yeah, let me finish my overall.
Yeah.
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 The 5% increase, we've done increases over the years, and I think the salaries right now are fair. Only looking at all the salaries that have been presented, the only ones that I would really be supportive of staying where they're presented at today would be the chief of police and the public works director. You know, but as far as doing the 5% increase for everyone across the board, it wouldn't be feasible right now to do that.
Well, again, we're here to make our case, but we don't make the decision. You all make that decision. So I think that Commissioner Johnson's right. I think that, and Mr. President, you're right. I think you're going to have a special work session just for that.
And then also going to public works area, you guys didn't put anything in it for the supervisor salary. It's at zero. Curious about that, for the active supervisor being paid.
Well,
Look it up.
let's kind of stay on track, okay? Before we get, I think we've done everything on the community engagement.
No, I had a question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I asked why we're, so this section, to me, I haven't had a chance to go completely through it, but where I'm at so far, this is like the biggest decrease. And I'm asking, why is that? Why are you all proposing that this area here is like over $37,000 decrease?
Well, again, the biggest issue was, of course, us. If we added in all those numbers that were last, year, this budget would be a deficit budget. We can't have a deficit budget. Now, if you go back and you say that you want everything to stay the same or even increase it, which you certainly have the right to do. Okay, then we won't have to go back over some of the other line items that you choose to decrease. So
what was the explanation?
that's it, deficit. If those numbers stay the same, the town would be in a deficit. And when you're in trouble and you have a deficit, you can't be giving out money except to support your town activity, your basic town services.
Right, but if we go against the 5% increase overall across the board, other than the 2 sessions that we met, we would have.
Yes, if you go back in and you say, we don't want 5%, we do 3%, we do 2%, we do 0. Yes, then you'll have money to fund other organizations.
And on this, we would have enough left, especially.
And we may not even have to face that. We may have enough money to cover everything.
Right, I would like to allocate the same amount to the Hayward Youth Center.
Okay.
They're tremendous aspect to that.
Well, here's what we need, okay? What the town administration needs is direction from the commissioner. Exactly what do you want to stay the same?
If we're telling you right
Then
now,
we can go back in and figure out, oh, well, we're gonna have to recommend cuts somewhere. So let's do this. Are we in a position that you can give us some guidance as to, do you want everything under community engagement to stay the same?
except for the Garland Hayward Youth Center, I would like that to, well,
Definitely.
Stay the
decrease
same, when you
the,
say
park
stay the same in regards to what you're presenting today or last year.
department.
In regards to what you're being presented today, I like everything that's being presented under community engagement. It's with the exception of the Brown Youth Center. I don't think we should reduce it there. We should keep that the same as it was last year, 15,000 rather than increasing it 5.
The Garland Haven Center stayed the same?
Yeah, 15,000
All right.
rather than 5,000.
Well, let's just do this. Main Street match, how's everybody feel?
What's been presented today,
You okay with that? Stay at 5?
everything that's been presented on the community engagement is great, what we're presenting today. With the
So
exception
the only one that you want to see increases is
of Hayward Youth Center.
in the fire company.
Yes, I say the fire company, and we need to put back the community engagement.
Yeah, I got that down.
Yeah, we fixed that by,
Okay.
the other two,
Okay.
they're,
And it's, the way I feel is that the community engagement should go back in some of that so we can do the things we talked about. And wait and amend the budget if and when we find the money to do the police department, Garland Haven Center, and Main Street.
Okay, so
And
here's,
I supported fire department, absolutely,
Well, that's what
but
we were saying, the fire department, we feel that the 25,000 should go back to,
well, I am,
yeah,
at least, yeah.
to the fire department.
we'll wait and see. I mean, it sounds great. It sounds like there's a huge opportunity to fund those before, but just after the budget, after the fiscal year starts, not before. Is, I think what we're saying, right?
I also did disagree today with the 5% increase across the board, with the exception of.
I am totally against taking that away.
I would say the town.
Well, I think too, then you're telling all of our employees that we're gonna give the money somewhere else and not.
No, I'm not, I'm not against, raises, but I am against the 5%.
We're just being mindful that the town has been raising consistently over the past 3 to 4 years. We want to be mindful of the taxpayer of the town as well. We're trying to make everything equitable there. So I think
If we're gonna do the
COLA
5%.
stands for cost of living, and everybody's cost of living is also going up.
The 5% for,
well, I can tell you that
we haven't even done evaluations yet either.
at all.
I
That's
believe,
why I feel like this is a discussion that needs to go a little bit deeper,
well,
before,
the federal cost of living increase is 4.3%.
we understand that, but what I'm saying is, can't speak for any other commissioner. But what I'm saying is that I feel that the conversation needs to happen, in a closed session, because particular things need to be said and done before that decision is made. And that's a huge raise without none of these things already being in place. We have not done it.
I agree that you need to have it in the executive closed session for that.
And I do agree that our, public works department, I think we did an overall raise for the entire department. But at least the director as well as our, AEP for our chief, should be taken into consideration for the 5%, because we know what those jobs entail and we all are aware of what happens there. But in those other areas, like, I feel like we need to go into closed session and have those one-on-one discussions, because a lot has not been done there.
Let's go on to the two big departments that we haven't talked about, is public safety, public works. We can go into them now if you want, or we can finish out the general government part, which would be code enforcement and the town parks. That's what we got learned.
It looks like, public works is good overall, public safety. I think, I don't see any changes that need to be discussed, need to be made. what's been presented, unless they have concern.
You said which section? The public safety.
Public safety, the police department. The things that should be made. They have.
So what changes did you all make there as far as, for the public safety?
Public safety. So, first of all, I just want to take a second to address the commissioners. And first of all, thank you as well for allowing me to be in this position to, obviously to present a budget and to have the confidence in being to be in charge of public safety for the town of Prince. So the two things I am asking for raises, and the two things that I want to make sure that everybody understands is that my first priority is public safety and the well-being of the community of Prince. That's obviously first and foremost. But secondly, also, I'm trying to look out for the best interest of my men and women. And it is an extremely competitive market out there for police officers. So I right now I'm going to present raises, and I'm going off of some of what was discussed last year. And I just want to, say that, I hate to ask for money, but what I'm trying to do is also keep us competitive so that we have the best law enforcement for the community. Because as we know, and just a side note, law enforcement, public safety does an incredible service for the community. And just touching on a couple of things, because again, I don't lead into these rates, but the U.S. has experienced a significant decline in law enforcement personnel with a 23% decrease over the years. Staffing shortages have had tangible effects on emergency responses. And just something that came up at the MML conference, I know you guys are familiar with the MML, but misconduct lawsuits and things are extremely prevalent right now. There's a lot of lawsuits that have to relate to poor training, law enforcement having the time and experience on the road to make important decisions. So we're talking $3.2 billion, $3.2 billion to settle lawsuits in the U.S. And when we talk about salaries, again, and I'm getting there, but I just want to know they're crucial for attracting and retaining qualified officers. I think that makes sense. Departments offering higher pay can draw from a larger pool, right? Obviously, we'll bring them in. I can tell you that our testing over the last couple of years has been extremely narrow. We're talking five applicants this year. We're talking, I think, like 7 applicants last year. And right off the get-go, you're talking 3 or 4 of them are X because of the psychological or the inability to do PT test. A study in Baltimore from 2011-21 found that higher police salaries were associated with lower crime, suggesting better paid officers contribute to more effective law enforcement. So turnover and inadequate training lead to increased crime rates. Again, we're talking about that litigation, $3.2 billion. Anyway, you get my point. So last year when Chief Wimp was here, I know that he discussed how far behind we were in our salary scales. I know that last year you gracefully gave us $4,000 raise, and then he had asked for $3,000 additionally for the next 2 years. So first and foremost, I'm asking to honor that $3,000 again for this year for a raise. But I'm asking if we could give the other $3,000, but not until March of the end of the year, right? So the amount of money that we're going to spend is going to be a lot less because it's obviously not going to go over 12 months. It's going to go over a 4-month span. So I'm asking to get that $3,000 early so that we can sell that raise. So you guys can sell the amount of money that you're giving to public safety to show your support of public safety and obviously the importance of that. And then in the middle of the year, I asked for a $2,000 bump. The COLAs wasn't something that I was necessarily, I don't want to say interested in, but it wasn't something that I anticipated into my ask because I'm keeping into consideration that right now our lower number for officers is low and we're having a hard time to compete. So the raises that bottom number up, where the 5% COLA would only raise my bottom line by like $2,500. But the raise is, if I ask for 3, I'm getting 3 on that bottom line to help promote that bottom number, to promote recruitment efforts. So I'm what I asked for was $3,000 up front, $2,000 in November, and then $3,000 in March. Again, spreading that out so we're not paying the full amount, but we're selling that raise. Just so you guys know where that puts us. If we only do the 3,000 currently Berlin, the officers would still be, the officers would still be $2,000 behind a small department like Berlin. We'd still be behind $3,000 behind Pocomoke. We'd be over $3,000 behind Somerset. We would be behind from UEF local departments. If I can get the other 3,000, at the end of it, it would allow us to catch up. We would be $2,000 behind UMES. We would be able to almost catch up to the sheriff's office. We would be right where just a smidge over Pocomoke and Berlin, but we're still under some of these other local agencies like Somerset, like UMES. So the other reason I asked for that other two was because it would allow us to keep this year's budget lower, obviously by that step method that I'm asking for. The commissioners, you would have the luxury of claiming that higher raise rate, even though we're not truly giving that. It's obviously smaller because it's the way it's broken up over the year. But at the end of the year, it would allow us to be competitive. We still wouldn't be at the top. We've lost officers at Ocean City PD. They're clearly making more than we are. We lost an officer at Ocean Pines this year. They're making 62,000 right now. You know, the median average of police departments is around almost $57,000 is what the median is. We're at 51. So we're at 51, the median is at 57. So that's why I'm asking for that raise and to be obviously drawn out over that period of time. So if you allow me to elaborate just a little bit further on my idea as far as what we have going on budget wise for the department. So the chief's salary right now is just a number because there's nobody officially in that position, right? And I'm keeping that open so that you guys have the leeway to do what you want. But by keeping that open, I'm putting a part-time officer in that spot just because we can draw from that until we decide where we're headed. But we're at no loss. But with that, if I work that part-time officer full-time, subtracted that from what the chief salary is, it's a savings of 16,000. You save retirement, you save health. That's a total savings of $60,000 right there because that position's open. And I'm maintaining a 14-person department, which is important, right? Public safety. I've asked for $55,000 in grant money this year through a grant for overtime. Obviously, can't counter chickens until they hatch, but I'm hoping that I can return overtime money this year based on what I asked for in the amount of hopefully around 30,000. The capital outlay this year, I'm returning to the commissioners $29,000. I did not spend almost $30,000 in my capital outlay. I'm giving that back to you. I reduced my capital outlay by $15,146. Saving this budget year in that amount. The body cameras, I had to ask for an increase, but only because I have to incorporate a non-funded mandate for the mental screening. All officers have to have mental screening now. I'm writing a grant, hoping to get that back. I'm only asking for an increase on 3 lines minus my salary. In addition to my salary. So only 3 lines I asked for an increase. That was legal services, like to pull one up. That's $513 increase. Vehicle repairs, because I went over this year, I'm only asking for a $3,000 increase. And then my drug screenings and the mental health. Again, I'm asking for a $6,000 increase just so I can pay the doctor to give us our mental health screening. That's the only 3 that I asked for increases, again, in addition to my salary line. I decreased 2 of my line. So that's what I have in a nutshell. Like I said, and my tow line, and that was the other thing. My tow line currently has in it 33,000. We still have to do the budget. I brought in 13,000 last year, anticipating more, but I'd asked Nye, if I rolled over that, if normally that tow line rolls over to the next year, just like our fingerprints rolls over, just like our, just like our C's property line rolls over, those three lines roll over. So what I'd ask for you, if you would to consider those raises, that I would take that tow line, put it into the salary line, and then have that be a wash. I wouldn't put it over. I would ask that you put that into the salary line and have to decrease so that the officers can get that raise. Again, that would make us competitive. So it won't put us at the top, but we're right there. Again, we're having issues, getting officers. It's been a real challenge. It prevents me from being able to do the things that I need to do with officers sometimes because they know that they can go somewhere else and make a lot more money. So I'm asking for, the ability to do my job to the fullest with the officers that I have, so they can't use that against me. And then obviously, like I said, the raise I'm asking for, the numbers I gave you, please keep in consideration that does not include the other agencies are also giving shift differential. So that's an extra $2,000 to $3,000 per officer if the officer working midnight to mid shift. It doesn't include the bonuses that they get when they go somewhere. It doesn't include steps. Sheriff's office has a step program they get set every year. So those guys who've been there 5 years are starting to take off from where we're at. So obviously you can see the increase in the salary line. I told you with the other three lines that I increased. The only thing that I obviously have no control over the other two increases that you would see would be the retirement, the health, and the FICA. And that's my that's what I have for you guys as far as for what I'm asking for. And I understand you can only do what you can do. I'm only asking that you do what you can do. For that, that we can keep public safety moving in the right direction here. And as you know, I'll finish with this. As you know, public safety, a sense of well-being, a sense of safety in the community brings in tourism, brings in commerce, keeps it keeps property values high. If you have crime, it drops that, right? If you have crime, people don't want to go somewhere. Obviously, tourism falls, commerce falls. So that's what I'm asking for. It's why, how, or anything specifically as far as numbers.
The public safety total number that we have right here, that you got with that list, that's with the 5%, right? That's not with you were proposing.
It is with from the numbers that we did on our end, it was with the 5,000 and the rating. That was that number. That's what we had provided to Jane.
I think
So it's already in here.
It is.
Okay.
So it is, but again, like I said, when I did this, the raises are what is important to me to get that bottom number up. I mean, that agreed, anything is nice, but
yeah, when we met with the police department, we did not change anything on their recommended budget.
How many officers you got?
we're staffed for 14. We unfortunately talk about, to give you a little backstory. We're 14, but we've been running with 6 officers over the last, minus the 2 admin staff because of injuries and because of vacancies. We lost somebody at the Ocean Pines. We lost somebody at Salisbury City. I just hired 2 laterals. I got lucky. And I hired two young guys for the academy. So I'm at 13 with a part-time officer.
And what should you have?
We should be at 14.
14.
Yes, ma'am. So if you can, I can work that part-time officer in a full-time capacity. So we're good right now. We're good.
We're going, he's next.
You know, I know part of the question was, Commissioner President, asked about supervisor salary. With the discussions we have, and correct me, Mr. Dante, if I'm wrong, that we felt at this time there was not a need, correct, for that to fill that position. But maybe look at something in the future. That's why he is here. That's,
We don't have a supervisor, no. That's a supervisor who, hired.
well, our former supervisor is now director. So, and with a number of discussions about if there's somebody to promote within or so forth.
I thought you hired him. You did hire. Supervisor, last year. That hired us. So the last person that hired. Hired. That's the, right?
You probably referring to Dan.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I totally wasn't a thing. Cause, you actually, you presented what your, Mr. Cross, you presented what your salary tax. We hired. That's about it. It was set at $50,000. Presented to the commission. All right, so.
I think it was changed correctly because we felt like that wasn't the right person at the time. Is that correct?
We haven't had a supervisor. And you had time.
To survive at least.
Right?
Yeah.
Right, so is there any way you could go to the commissioner what each individual actually made it work?
I think, I think that the town manager, you get what the administrator, the finance administrator come up with the salary, benefits and all for your next work session,
And
work session of personnel.
there's no need for a supervisor in that department.
To be honest, at this time, I feel there's nobody there that would be responsible enough to hold that.
Fair enough.
Okay, because let's see, how many employees are there? Probably yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
County,
yeah.
Every year I ask this question about our tipping fees and they're always, I know they're going up and, historically, whenever the county went up on the tipping fees, we stayed at the previous year's rate. Are we still paying a little less than what their advertised rate is per ton there, or are we paying what they charge?
What they charge.
I'd like to at least maybe ask about that because like I said, if it went up by $5, we stayed at that until it went up again and then we moved up to that. So we were always like behind, it ain't gonna be much, $5 a ton, $3 a ton, whatever it is. But and maybe they haven't had an increase, but we should be paying less than what they're posted at there. And I've always felt too, it'd be really great if we could have a conversation with the county and it would be one place that the county could give us a little bit of a break. Because we're paying county taxes like everybody else. And, anyway, so we could somehow get a little bit of a break on our tipping. $70,000. Picking up trash twice a week, so we got a lot of trash.
Is there an agreement with the county for that they would?
That was my understanding. When I came with the
That's something we should, that be looked at then.
I mean, you could have been well, it had to have been right somewhere back in the day. And the other thing that I was gonna ask about was the gas. Are we still using we still got a tank out there, and we have gas delivered to a tank, and that's how we get it to the trucks, and That's different than diesel. You have diesel there too, you have to go to diesel.
We have to go to, Exxon.
Okay, so you got like a fleet card or something for your diesel and stuff? Could we at least explore at some point and see if that's an option to switch to gas over to that as well? Would that police department utilize that gas pump back there in the yard as well, correct?
Right.
Chief? Yeah, I know you. Yeah, the police officers go to the yard and get
Yes, sir.
gas. Would, I just want, I'd just like to see some sort of, information on how, if a fleet program would work better where each officer, or public work had a card to where they were going to get the diesel anyway, but get it all in one place, a lot more easier to track, easier to make sure everybody, whatever. But, easier for the finance department too. They're getting one bill that has everything on it or that kind of thing. But, just a thought there and see if there's a savings, overall by doing it. They can get some sort of cut from breakage with we have a free programs of that. I don't know what we're, do you know what we're paying per gallon now? Is it the same rate as at the gas station or are we getting a break now?
I had to not 100% on that, but I can vote.
Okay. Be a question if we're getting a better rate now already and if that's.
Usually discount.
I was only to, and of course, always with, street lighting. Yeah. What can we do do we need to get more about street lights on LEDs so that we're not paying okay. How we could look into getting more of the street lights that we're paying for, equipped with the LEDs as opposed to energy suckers that they got in there. Because mine in front of my house.
Stone,
Mr. Star.
you said in front of your house?
I mean, it's just on all the streetlights. What do we pay? What streetlights are we paying? Just the one down there?
Down.
And we're paying $135.
Mr. Stone, he received a, town received a grant years ago.
Those are supposed to all be LEDs. Why was it $30,000?
The town actually replaced all the lights on Main Street with LEDs a couple of years, like 3 years ago. It all were replaced with LEDs.
And we were promised we will make a big savings there, right? You remember that?
We were, but where you have to look at tremendous, where the usage for street lighting comes into effect from the actual street lights. That's where the actual lights that we have along Main Street, there is no comparison now of electricity. They're on Somerset Avenue.
That's the state highway.
So that's why I brought this up with our former town manager about 5 years ago. Russ Bell, because this was an issue she discussed as well. She looked into it and actually stayed where most of the stuff it's actually a traffic light. I would be looking into like reaching out to state highway to see if they compensate the town for the usage of those lights that they're responsible for on state roads.
Can we clarify that we're paying the electricity for the stoplights? I don't think we should be paying electricity for them, right? I mean, what are we paying $130,000? I guess is the question I have. Like what lights or street lights are costing us $130,000?
My understanding is old, that the individual lights, lack of better word, ones that we have the banners on. I have been in some conversation with Mr. Crompton, State Highway, to find out how we can justify that amount. And while we're spending that amount, and also a little fun fact, the traffic light that's sitting there at the fire department is one of the last lights that are, that's wired. If you look,
We're here to change all that.
that's the last one in there also.
But my question is, are we paying the electricity for stoplights? I think the state highway pays for that, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
We can confirm, but I am working with Mr. Crompton on the pole lights for those.
those what is it, 45 street lights that, they can't be, that can't be $30,000.
even when we attend like, MML, they're different. companies that actually sell to the municipality, the actual place and solar. The problem is we don't have the revenue to afford something like that. It's a cost that you really can't.
This one that's stuck out. Thing with the library. No, for the street lights.
You need to go solar, that's probably great. So when I see a statement like this. Maybe when you go LED, they just address the rates. Power company.
So we actually did use that amount of money last year. What actually was paid out?
Right, that's,
Exactly.
yeah, and like I said, I started
It's been a line item for the past 10 years. We've had this line.
and
I've asked this question every year.
it's long, right? I don't know how to say it, and that's why I kind of started that conversation with Mr. Compton, who's oversees District One, the state highway, to find out why. Or less, why is it so?
We get a bill every month for street lighting. That's separated out by street.
It's just in the bill, like we can give that to you.
I think we have to pay for all the street lighting for all the communities in the blood, right? Can't.
Yeah, it's not just, it's,
You just said it was just for downtown, and you're saying there's other lights,
But there's-
okay, that makes sense.
That's one other suggestion though, as well, for, all of our street lighting, all of those haven't been. Like, they haven't been updated, the belts around Main Street haven't, but the ones around the town haven't. been.
Okay, now that makes a little more sense, I'm thinking, yeah, you're 45 homes downtown is costing $130,000.
Another problem is like, a lot of these lights are on during daytime. Yeah, so of course, when I was around. Back in the area where lights are still on during daytime.
All right,
I have a question about the mosquito control. So this $6,000, what do we actually do for the mosquito control?
The county, I guess they spray, they go around and they spray, but I guess the volunteer, we have to pay them. To do that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any. Me personally, I haven't seen.
Is that Chadwick or
I
they?
haven't seen it, and that was gonna be one, that was gonna be my question to you. Today or now, like, how do we got to reach out to them, for them to spray, or how do we?
Cause I know, I see we have and last year we did too, but I haven't seen.
Yeah, I in the year past that, but I haven't seen it this year at all.
Yeah, people ask me about it, how
we can reach out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be the county?
Yes. That was one question we brought up on the budget. You know, when we were working on that, how do we
It's
control?
mosquito season, man, let's call them.
And they're ready to go.
Because I don't want to let them up, so I didn't see a truck out in the yard with a big sprayer on the back, you know?
I haven't seen one in years.
So we should go for public works. Take us away, Joe.
Okay, pretty much, I think we kind of stayed almost the same on this. Let's see. What I do with my. We have park maintenance, at 3,000. The electric and water and all that business, we actually. I think we increased that, but we're at 6,000 for that. Mulch, 4,000. The election house maintenance rehab at 10,000. But we are going to be doing the grant. We got with Val and just set that so we can get that thing started.
Yeah.
Manuka Park maintenance 500. Manuka Park electric water 3,000. Now, in the bathroom, 1,500.
Porter John, though, right?
It has to be the Porter John, because we're gonna get into, the next line is the Manuka Park improvement. Okay. That includes the benches, it also includes the bathroom. The bathroom right now is listed, well, the estimate is 85,000. That's what we put in for. The total grant is 98,800. The grant, needs to be spent by 2028. Plenty of time, but we want to get it done. So we need to start organizing whatever way, Jay wants to go with this so that we can start, going out and getting bids, estimates. We probably need to do estimates first, but because of the fact that that's a big number, it's gonna have to go out for bid.
Very critical areas. You talked about that the other night. We need to get, check on all that.
And that
stuff
too,
before we
yes,
start.
right, that's correct, that as well. But the money is there, the money is there, we've been approved, we have the grant.
They probably should have given us till 2030 if we gotta go through critical areas. But if it gets started,
Well, let me put it this way. If we can't get it done by 2028, if they will, let's say, they can get it.
So let's not.
But there's no reason not to.
Let's get.
Yeah.
Get it
Yeah,
done.
so we can get on it and get it done. And so I don't know whether at this point, we have the grant, we have the specifics exactly. But if we need to go through the Minokan Park, whatever, to get some feedback. we need to do that.
Go meet with Keith, planning, and go there until
Okay.
work towards some critical area.
Well, what was so what's the increase for the electric and the water at the Manuka Park? Is there electric? I know it's water, is there water out there?
Yeah, we have cameras and all that.
I think that might be for. Yeah.
That's the portable.
There's one. Yeah, but he's gonna have water in our little bathroom in the.
at the back of the election night, but I would
It's not-
think that we're not paying.
No, should be going there.
Well, let's double check on.
Yeah.
I'll make sure. We don't have a water bill we're paying for.
On the side of the building.
Oh, is that what it is?
We're
Okay.
paying for-
Well, with the sanitary dispersing them, regardless if you're using it or not.
But is that used by public works? You gotta use that, how do you usually use that?
Yeah, we finalized, like,
Okay.
playground and.
There you go, then, that's perfect, as long as we're using it.
Turn it on and use it. I would even suggest putting water pumps out there. for the community.
So, I think where we're at is Earl Jordan Park, electric water 750. The Todd Family Utilities, we have that down as 1,000 based upon what we've already spent. Now, the town is putting, from the grant, or the donation, the town also is picking up the cost of water, electric, internet alarm at the garden, Garland Gilbert Center. That's 8,500 each, so that's $17,000 that the town is actually putting in, paying for, because that building is the town.
And also the maintenance, all the maintenance, grass cutting, everything out there, turnkey operation. You put it by the town, right?
You go back to early Jordan, there's no electric or water in the thing.
All right,
Earl Jordan, electric and, water, there's no electric or water in that place.
There was one at the house on that property.
well, let's see if we're doing anything there.
Yeah.
And then we can get out of that though. If it's the water.
Well, I don't know, according to this, we've already spent $343 for something out there.
There used to be a house there.
Oh,
That's water line there.
Oh, okay, yeah, water's the county, so.
So can we put like a water pump out there?
Yeah.
Or just gonna use it?
Yeah.
Takes filter on. Water.
I think it's state for the water down there that them kids are. And they're
Tear it up.
looking at water. Man, it's like- You don't want anybody getting sick.
Well, the interesting thing is that even with the cost, it's not gonna be what they budgeted. It's still gonna be what they thought. It's something that we ought to check. You don't wanna be spending for something that's not being used and not yours.
Well, it looks like probably a budget item from, that's been there the same for several years,
Mhm.
we never spent all of it either.
Right, that's what it looks like, yeah.
Right.
Okay, now on the code enforcement part, I think I'll turn this one over to Jay. Because he's been working with the new people coming in and what's been happening, and I think he's the better one to handle that.
We, proud to announce that we did hire a new code enforcement officer. I know some of the commission haven't been able to meet Tim Beerley. He is, 35-year veteran with the Baltimore Fire Department. Did a lot of code enforcement with the fire department, also, U.S. Marine Corps. Marine, always a Marine, right? Yeah. And, love for you to meet him. That was what we had budgeted. He is part-time. He is, 25 hours an hour at 25 hours or 25 hours a week. That's what we had. Yeah, he's here. I'll be glad to, but he is, one thing I, so, but we're glad to have that on board, and we were getting them up to speed on, on that side of things, very organized. In fact, he shows up on average in half hour to 45 minutes early. Full-time, part-time.
How many days?
He's working from 10 to 3 every day. We felt it was important because that was one of the areas we lacked in. With a former code enforcement was when you only had someone here 1 or 2 days a week, then that creates issues, right? So we felt like we need someone here every day to address any issues and stay up on top of things. He is here from Monday through Friday, 10 to 3 every day.
When I first met Tim, I had my army shirt on. I went into his office, took his hand, we had greetings, and he said, "I'll let you go." And he pointed to my shirt, and then he pointed to his Marine Corps flag. And we'll work together. So why, I'm not holding that against you.
I have a question of, the line item, the demolition of property. You don't foresee that happening at all? I think we went from,
Yeah, we kind of went by, get back where lines at 5,008.
I think we ran out of profit.
Oh, it kind of went by last year we were down 18,000. We spent, almost 5,000 last year. We can visit that. We didn't see any upcoming projects. Just again, being mindful of the budget. And so that's something we could possibly add 5K in, but we didn't see any upcoming. Yeah.
I think everything else was good. And on. What? That's that, the commissioners, talking about the cost of living and the commissioner's salary and always been set at a current rate for the past 30 years. So, when you talk about cost of living, like at least be fair across the board and consider how you increase. Because even today, maybe we've been there for hours. And we're getting paid the same amount of funding that commissioners were paid 30 years ago, which is not fair to us either. We're dedicated and passionate about the town. I would also like to suggest probably that we also allocate a little bit more to Main Street, keep the allocation for them at 15,000 rather than reducing that 5,000. Because there's a kind of stuff to the town, and they're very passionate about the town growth. So want to remain fair across the board.
When you're looking at, the salaries for the members of the elected body, that's clearly done by, that you have an ordinance that sets your salaries. for the president and the members. It might be worth a brief phone call with the town attorney, because your budget is gonna be an ordinance too. So that might compensate, but you don't have to do an ordinance and then have it included in the budget. Might be able to be done all at one time if you want to.
The only question to ask there too is, in my understanding, because I think right when I came in, they had raised it, but, can't raise your salary, you have to raise it and then go through an election
That's right.
prior to it.
Generally, it's the next, yeah, not during your term, but the next term. Mhm. Yeah.
But if it was done in this budget, then you have the next election.
After the next election, that's right.
We have an election next year, so.
Which is
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
it definitely needs to happen, whether it's us at the table or all new commissioners at the table,
Mhm.
definitely needs to happen. And if we can do that on our line, we can do it for the future commission.
Okay. The only other item left that we have, of course, is debt services.
Pay any of it off?
What?
Pay any of it off?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this of course is a my question, but we plugged in the numbers that we know we're going to be needing for the next 100 years. I think the only one that actually increased, if I'm not mistaken, was vehicle insurance. Yeah, that was at 22,000, and we put that up to 30,000. But debt services is what, debt services or debt services.
Well, it'd be a good.
Not much you can move on those. And,
Well, there is, if we get a game plan together to try to reduce that.
oh, yeah, no, I know that.
That need to be paid
Now,
off, instead of
did
just
meet-
paying the minimum.
well, Jay and I did meet with PNC about restructuring the loan. The problem is it would be worse. Terms that you have are the best terms right now.
So, you know, we're
We
paying
did try
down,
to
but
do
we're paying more than just interest.
Yeah, if we could do that.
I mean, we're getting a game plan together, the 5-year plan, 3-year plan, to get rid of these loans that have literally been with the town for almost 20 years.
Yes, 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 they have.
And so that's money that we have thrown out the window in interest that could be going to other services and other uses.
Yep, agree. The only one thing I would like to, from my standpoint, is that, like I said, we are going to partner again with Chrisfield. With the city of Chrisfield, they are going to be the sponsoring agency for the circuit, by the way. We met with them yesterday.
Yes.
And, Jake can speak more to that. There's 2 sections. There's one section that Princess Anne has to do, which I will take care of. There's one section Chrisville has to do, and then Chrisville will submit the whole thing. We decided to go for the full 50,000 that we had and split 25-25, like spend. The only other thing I wanted to bring up to you is that, with Isabel leaving, and she was working on the facade improvement program, the community legacy, I'm gonna pick that up. I've done that in my other towns, so I'll be doing that. The other thing is that when the window, and I believe the window may have just opened up for another grant. So, I'm gonna be coming back, or let Jay know so he can come back here about going for another grant of some kind of a project, and I'll explain what community legacy does. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with that grant program besides facade improvement. If there's projects that we see in town that we need to do, then I think we should move forward. Because most of the town is in the sustainable communities, which is where these grants are. There's also a program, the other grant program we can get into is strategic demolition. The only thing with that one is that Community Legacy doesn't require a local share. The strategic demolition requires a 10% local share, the cost of the project. But those are the 2 bills. I think I would recommend that we, go again this year. Every year, just go in and get a grant and move on. It helps out.
One other quick question I had about the fund you were talking about with where the money's going at, and tell me again what it's called, the Maryland and some kind of fund.
Oh, they're a local government.
Right.
Yes.
Have we got that started? We got money in that now? We got everything going with that?
Well, we have the resolution. But there's nine, we gotta get together. They have to have the audit. They have to have a copy of the charter. Then what Nye has to do is just set up the accounts. So our plan is to be up there by July 1st. As far as and the other thing is, yeah, once we get a big wad of money, we'll set it up there. There's one or two things that the town manager needs to talk to the Economic Development Commission about other funds that we might be able to use and set up there that makes it a lot more advantageous for everyone. So, and the way the interest rate is still holding at 4%. So, if we can get to a point that we get $1 million or $1.5 million up there, we're probably looking at more than that we're showing, right now when we're looking.
That's what we're looking for down the road. We'll see it happen first.
Yeah.
We need to have
And
another.
I think I'm very happy that you all agreed to go into that. Oh, yes, I had talked to the town manager about this before we came in. Okay. What I'm thinking is, remember now, we have to have a public hearing before the budget can be adopted. Right now, it would be slated for the budget to be adopted June the 2nd. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think you got too many questions. I don't want to rush into it. So the first thing would be, we could do a public hearing on the budget schedule, because it's gotta be advertised June 2nd before your legislative session, because it needs to be advertised. Or we could go back to June 16th, I believe, is your next meeting, official meeting, and we can do the public hearing and do that, and then conduct the special meeting to adopt the budget that month. But that's something that you all need to talk about, get back to the town manager about, so we can start scheduling those dates.
We need another work session on this. To get the
Well, you're gonna need, I'm hearing that, yeah, I think you're definitely gonna need another work session. Absolutely.
Also interested in the grant program earlier. Interested in creating more circulars. Okay,
Yeah, we had that allocated.
that too much for right now, so we could probably at least stay with the county.
That's, if that's the case, we would have to amend change the resolution for introduction and, yeah, that.
No, most certainly, it's still
Mhm.
a circle.
Yeah, it would.
But we've had a very productive meeting today. I look forward to June 2nd.
So we're not gonna meet again until June 2nd. I mean, is that where that?
Okay, let me,
Meet again next Friday if you like, 31st. You got to do it at the same time, same place, and Friday.
just, all I wanna ask is that you give me plenty of time so I can coordinate with my other town. Because I'm in major budget session with Cincinnati.
All right, so
That's,
what we're gonna do then is just, we'll go another meeting at June 2nd, we're gonna have a public hearing and we'll get the answers, to these questions written out, and we'll have to decide right then. To do it. I think it's going to be that or nothing pretty much. We'll have any more changes after that.
well. Yeah, what I'm saying, you could go ahead
I
and,
mean, I'm hearing a lot of different directions from different sides of this, but and now all of a sudden we're talking about reducing the grant program for the small businesses that have been honked on. It's got to be $350,000, and now we're going to reduce it at the last minute. I mean, it's
We don't have to.
no,
We don't
it's,
want to.
I mean, I think it's what was recommended all along, is that we.
Well, let me put it this
A little bit on that.
Okay, so we don't belabor this point.
Are we gonna meet
If
again?
indeed, okay, if there's a consensus with the commissioners now that you would still want to do the program, but reduce it,
No, we're not ready to have that discussion right now.
okay, the only reason I would say that,
I thought that's what you said you wanted done.
The question on the table is, are we going to meet again before June second? No. Are we going to meet? before-
So do you all wanna do the 30th next Friday?
We had,
What the reason for meeting it, right?
well, we can get answers to the questions that you've been posing. I'm okay on, what was it, May 31st?
Or do you wanna wait till the second?
we're supposed to meet again to solidify what we've worked on today prior to June second, correct?
That's what I was.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just
We
asking that we
would
meet
solidify
again.
everything, and then, June second, we can do the same path.
Yeah, we have to.
The only complication, I'm gonna throw this in there, we won't have time to get the paper called out.
What?
Public hearing, we can't,
No, we don't.
June second.
Can you put, can you put,
we can't,
can you do it Wednesday, Thursday? We don't have a timeline on,
like, but
It
for
is-
getting in the paper, we were
Yeah,
had to
We're
have.
talking about another work session like this.
No, yes,
As long as you advertise 24%.
well, okay, let's talk this out. If we want to have a work session, Friday, no problem. I can be here. If you want to do your public hearing and do your budget June 2nd, I think that's doable. Now, as far as the ad, there is no time limit. In other words, it doesn't have to be 10 days or 5 days. We can shove it in the paper.
30 then.
no, that's my point. We don't have time, we missed the deadline. We were gonna advertise,
You gotta have it
I
this Thursday.
would have had it yesterday,
Okay,
paper,
I'm with you then.
and they're short because of the holiday.
Okay,
We've
the
all-
only other way,
Yeah.
the only other way to do that is to knock out a quick ad, put it in the Daily Times. Want to be a little more expensive, you can still do it. All you have to do is put an ad in a paper of general circulation. It'll be a little more costly, but it might be worth it. What you want to do.
So as of right now, we can't do it June second anyway, but well, unless we run that in the daily time.
Yeah, well,
Public hearing.
you can't do a public hearing, nor adopt the budget until, yeah, you gotta have that ad in the paper. That's what I'm saying.
When's the deadline? We don't, budget June 30th.
Yeah. And the schedule I gave you is like, you can. One of my recommendations was, you can do everything in one night. You can do your, public hearing. You can have a special meeting right after that, and you can go right into your work session. If you just wanna do it one night,
And that's what you said we could do on the
you could do that.
On 16.
On the what? On the 16th, yes.
16th, right.
The only difference is I can't be here on the 16th. So you don't need me anyhow. You got Jay. Because that's my big night. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not. I can do the 16th. Because
We should do the
half my council is going to be in Ocean City Fireman's Convention, so we're pushing our meeting back. I can do the 16th. I will be here for the legislative meeting, and I will be here for June 16th.
So June second, do we need to do anything at all?
Well,
Work session, you.
unless you want to do the business grant,
Budget thing?
unless you want to look at the business. Oh, yes, you do. I'm sorry. You got to do the resolution for Joe, for me.
Yeah, I've got the.
That's critical.
I think that's on there.
Yeah, let's do that one. Because,
No, I'm talking about for the budget.
no, nothing for the budget.
So
You'd be okay with the budget.
if we do a work
If
session,
you're okay with June 16th.
do another work session Friday then, or?
Yeah, well, it,
Or that night? Okay, we can do it the second, right? I can do next Friday, but it have to be 2:00. I cannot do it.
And I can't do it till 5, so we need to keep it on the 16th.
yeah, I'm not forcing that issue. That's entirely up to
2 o'clock.
you folks. 2 o'clock.
So, no, 2 o'clock's too late for me, like that.
I'm here the 16th.
That's a work session.
I mean, that's the one he was explaining about the special.
Without further ado,
Now, unless there's a work session you wanna have between June 2nd and June 16th? I mean, what do you,
it's always an option, man, but as far as today, I'd like to offer a motion to adjourn.
what I'm gonna do is, I'm tossing this in the hands of the town manager to organize whatever date you wanna be, but I can be here June the 2nd, I can be here June 16th at night, and of course, my usual Tuesday through Thursday.
So, just so we're all clear, if we get together the next time to talk about the changes we talked about today, when is that gonna happen?
That's what we need to figure out before we all leave.
I'll do it June 2nd, maybe. Do a workshop before the meeting.
I have a
So
couple.
you want a work session before the meeting? So what is that? What time? So,
Maybe 5 o'clock.
Tuesday.
Going to the public meeting.
so like an hour before.
Work for everybody?
Yeah, we have,
And if we're gonna get, with or without the 150,000 taken off, what that affects, if we take that off of the, put that back in the budget? No, that's what you were asking, right?
We'll talk about that today.
Okay, let me,
Set everything out.
I know we've had a
Right.
long, think about that resolution. We can reduce it, okay? But we still won't know how much is going to be available after June 30th. When the applications come in and we award, we don't. So your surplus is not gonna change, I wouldn't say it's gonna change that much. We're still looking at the $23,000 that we projected, or making changes on the pay that you talked about.
Right.
That's where the savings is going to be.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll call for a motion that we adjourn this meeting. There's no opposition, we're during the comment section.
Everybody, this is Ken. He's our new code officer. The town.
You got, wait till